Hi, Catherine. So the strangest thing has happened. This did not appear in my inbox. It was only when I opened the application in another device that I saw your email. So I so apologize for this. I don't know how has happened. I don't know what's going on, but I did see it, and so I want to send this to you as soon as possible. So local governments are pushing companies to regional locations, benefits and drawbacks. Let's see. Local governments foster companies to relocate production to provinces. All right, foster is not the right word here. You foster a thing. So you foster teamwork, you foster collaboration. Okay, so those are things you foster, but you don't do this. You encourage. That would have been a good word. I don't know if it was used in the prompt, was it? Yeah, so encourage would have been a perfect word here. So local governments, and I would have also made it in the present continuous because it's something happening now. So local governments are encouraging companies to relocate production to provinces. All right, again, it's not just production though, so don't limit yourself to this. So local governments are encouraging companies to relocate to provinces. This is part of authority strategies to develop regional cities through incentives like cash grants or tax credits. Okay. Their primary goal includes putting local communities' well-being and living standards. What do you mean putting? That's not the right word here. Their primary goal includes maybe prioritizing local communities' well-being and living standards to make them more equitable and reduce unemployment. In this essay, I will discuss both benefits and drawbacks. All right, now that's interesting. Let's take a look at this. They're pushing companies to move from large cities. So you focus just on the benefits to the regional locations. What about the benefits to the large city? How does a large city um, benefit from this? Okay. So I kind of feel like maybe you had too many ideas here. Like this is all stuff that probably would have worked better in your body paragraphs. So maybe you could have done it a little differently. Why don't we do something like this? Local governments geez, I keep forgetting the word I used. Local governments are encouraging companies to relocate to provinces. This has a variety of benefits, both for the city and, of course, the regional locations. However, there are drawbacks as well. Both will be discussed in the essay that follows. Okay, so that's what I would have done, just addressing that there are drawbacks, there are positives, both for the city and for the regional location. So that's kind of how I would have handled this, okay? Rather than being so specific here, I felt like a lot of these ideas could have gone better in your body paragraphs, okay? All right, let's see. Companies can boost profits due to lower costs and less fierce competition. Okay, again, specify when located in regional locations, companies can do this, okay? For instance, if you allocate in a zone, that's the wrong word, allocate, okay? You mean relocate. So if you relocate to a zone that produces oranges and your business sells orange desserts, it could be cheaper than cities to get this input. Okay. When businesses can maintain or reduce costs, they use these funds to improve their products and services. Okay. Also, banks and lenders have plans of operations adequate to specific sectors that support local businesses with access to loans at lower expenses, lower rates, I think is what you want, at lower rates. And they can expand in other stages. As rural areas are not densely populated, businesses can focus on products or services that are not saturated and gain many customers. Okay. All right. So we talked a little bit about how I wanted you to clarify this first sentence, and then we talked about some of the vocabulary here. Okay. Um, so let's see. If you relocate to a zone that produces oranges and your business sells orange desserts, it could be cheaper than cities. I don't think you mean the word input, so this confused me. Okay, so you could say something like this would reduce the cost of transport to obtain your raw materials. Okay, and then you could go a little further. This would obviously improve the bottom line. Okay, so that's one thing. Uh, and then here, from how can I say this? From here on out, I felt like you had a list, but I didn't understand how regional locations benefited. So let's see. Right. So I talked about the bottom line, and then I wouldn't have used this. I didn't really care for this. So I would have just said that, this reduction in costs improves the bottom line, which allows the business to flourish. And that's all you really needed. And then this really confused me. Like, I don't understand how this connects. If plans of operations adequate, and I don't think you mean this. I think you mean specific, but then you use specific here. So a lot of your vocabulary confused me here. And again, I didn't understand why this was specific to the regional locations. Like, wouldn't this apply to urban companies as well? So that confused me. Um, and then here, like I said, this whole thing kind of just confused me. I didn't understand how it was specific to rural locations. So to give you an idea of some of the stuff that maybe you could have said here, um, first of all, the cost of land and real estate is cheaper in these regional locations. And so there is considerable savings to the company for that, alone. Um, Also, a benefit is that it reduces the congestion in the cities, okay? Because if you have a company that has maybe 500 people, that's like 500 people fewer who are traveling into the city for work. So it helps that too. You could say also that one of the benefits is that it improves the economy of the regional location. You've got a lot more people needing businesses and services in the regional location, and so some of those enterprises will thrive, or maybe some new ones will be created, so that you have a definite possibility of more employment in the regional location. So those are some benefits you could have talked about. Okay, and you can see what I did is I also included benefits to the city, that it reduces, by at least a little bit, some of the congestion, some of the traffic, some of the maybe environmental pollution that these commuters potentially create. Okay, so let's keep going. On the other hand, businesses may have to deal with difficulties in finding skilled workers in provinces and transport infrastructure. Many countries face lower education levels in provinces or smaller prime age labor force, or a smaller prime age labor force due to older populations affecting operations business. Good. In this case, owners need to train staff in order to compete with urban areas. Okay. You might face another challenge of underdeveloped transportation infrastructure in rural areas. Why? Explain it to me. Okay, keep going. Hence, it will impact your business operations if you depend on transportation. Fine, but you needed to go into a little more detail. So why do you think this? Okay, just go one more sentence into it. Finally, incentives given by the government to regional business. Wait, what? Incentives given by the government to regional business says encourage them to expand profits, but it also has disadvantages as lower skilled workers. All right, this is awkward. I'm having a hard time with this. Another problem I'm having with this is that you should not have had finally here. This is your conclusion. So it's not finally, it's just in conclusion or to conclude. Because the way you wrote it, I thought it was another body paragraph. And so that really confused me. So let's try it again. In conclusion, incentives given by the government to regional businesses encourage them to all right, fine, expand profits, but this also has disadvantages such as low skilled workers and inadequate infrastructure. Okay, so you can see I made quite a few changes to this. So you've got the right idea. There were still weaknesses. I saw a handful of weaknesses with your vocabulary, so that was an issue for me today. And then I thought you needed to work a little bit on areas of coherence and cohesion and task achievement. So there were a couple of areas I thought you could have developed better. There were a couple of areas that I didn't feel really flowed, like one idea didn't really flow into the next. So those are the areas that for me needed a little work. Okay, why don't we take a look at your letter to your relative? Let's see what you said here. Dear Sophie, I'm glad you. All right, no, your relative is coming, so it's not you came. It's I'm glad you're coming. So, dear Sophie, I'm glad you are coming to visit me. It's been a long time. Not without seeing you. It's been a long time since I've seen you. I'm anxious to hear about how life is in London. As for me, I will be home at night due to a work meeting. I want you to feel comfortable in my house. So I left the keys in front of the main door. We don't call it the principal door, the main door near the red flower pot. I will remind you of the address to arrive without a problem. Full stop. New sentence. When you take the taxi, um, it is Street 7, number 26, District near the park, and the only house with a tree at the entrance. Okay. At night, it would be better to attend a beer festival. I don't agree with this. It would be better. We'll talk about it. Most people say I will be unique because of the local cuisine and international singers. You don't mean that. You mean it will be unique. Other options could be visiting the Colonial Zone or downtown center, where young people usually gather. I hope you enjoyed this experience with me and plan an agenda for the next few days. Love, love, love. Okay. We don't do that in English. It's cute and I like it, but for the purpose of IELTS, don't do it. We wouldn't end like this, okay? So, um, explain how to get the keys. You did that. Give directions. You didn't really give directions. You basically said take a taxi. It's street this, da da. It's near the park. It's not really directions. You did explain the keys. That's fine. Suggestions. Now, this is a really tricky thing because they're testing you on this kind of functional language. That's what this is called, where you have to do some suggesting. So you wrote it would be better. And like I said before, that's incorrect. So you want to suggest. Well, how do we suggest? You said at night we could attend a beer festival. Most people say it is unique because of the local cuisine and international singers. Other options could be visiting the colonial zone or not, and then that's fine. So that's two suggestions, and that's okay. And then here, it's not that you want your cousin or your relative to plan an agenda. Maybe you want to plan an agenda together. So I hope you enjoy this experience with me, and we will plan an agenda for the next few days. So something like that would have made more sense. Um, so yes, you suggested. I didn't think you did a really developed job of giving instructions on how to get to your house. I think that could have been a little more developed. And then, like I said here, there were some awkward things as well. So yes, it's fine, but I mean, if you're aiming for one of those top 3 band scores, there's definitely more work that needs to be done here to get to that level. Um, like here, for example, let me tell you what I mean. So this is your relative, and she's coming to visit you, and you basically want to apologize in a way that, or at least say that, look, I'm really so sorry I can't pick you up. Something like this. I wanted it a little more developed. So let me see how you did on words. I know it's over 150 words, I could tell, but yeah, it's 161. I still think you could have done a little more here. So I'm anxious to hear about how life is in London. And then I would say, as for your arrival, I wanted to let you know that I have a work meeting that will run late. So, unfortunately, I can't be there when you arrive. However, I want you to feel comfortable in my house, so I left the keys, etc., etc. Okay, so just kind of explaining the situation that you're not going to be there to greet her and, sorry this has come up, et cetera, and I can't get out of it. So I really wanted something like that there so that all of this makes a little more sense. Okay. All right, so that's pretty much where we are, Catherine. I'm going to send you a link to, maybe sign up for some more essay corrections so that we can continue to work together. Again, I don't understand how on earth this escaped my inbox, but it did. So I apologize for the delay. Okay, let me know if you have any questions, and I look forward to working with you.